Alright guys, now we're working on the Fiero, as you know, the Indy Fiero, which is a current project on the channel. But we're done with the other two GTOs, so that opens up a slot to start our next project. Because you know, we're getting used to just doing more than one project at a time, no matter how crazy it makes me. And I figure, while I'm waiting for stuff to come in for the Indy, which I have decals on order from STS Decals, I am going to just start going over this kit that's right on your screens right now. This is a vintage Mercedes-Benz 300 SL kit. This is from Entex. I've shown it on the channel once before. Where did I get this? I think I got this at NNL East, or I think it was at NNL East I picked this up. I'm always looking for an old vintage kit to build on the channel because it's stuff we're not going to see everywhere, and I think it's kind of cool just to go back and look at the older kits and build them up on the channel so we can see what kit building used to be like. If you watch those GTO videos, then you know it was interesting. So that's why a lot of my builds are these old vintage kits that are really not available much anymore. But I want you guys to see what it's like, because, you know, I don't know how many of these are still out there. I don't know how common it is, but I've never seen it before. And it is, let's see if we have a date on this box here. No, I don't see a date on the box. Let's see if we have some on the instructions. If we take a look at the instructions, it's a single sheet. It's a very simple kit. It's a curbside. And let's see if we have any... No, we don't. Nothing here. Wait. Printed in Japan. We have a limited warranty. So I wonder if we can still redeem that if something goes wrong with this kit. Let's see. No, there's no date here. But as you can see by looking at the instructions, there's really not much to it. So this is all going to be basically a fun exercise in painting and detailing. And why don't we take a look at ScaleMates? We'll take a peek on there and we'll see if we can figure out exactly when this kit was made and where it came from. But in the meantime, let's just take a look at it. I've already started doing a little bit of work on the body. As you can tell, needed a bit of filler here. It had really bad mold lines that came all the way from the front, going all the way across to the back. Here was a mess of mold lines. I've cleaned everything up and smoothed it all out. All the edges had to be sanded down as they were way too sharp. You can see here what I was talking about on the other side. All of these lines here, they all have to be sanded, smoothed, and repaired, just like it did here. Now this is very smooth and almost ready for primer. And you can see here that it's just way too sharp. All these edges are way too sharp. And here, I looked up a few reference photographs. This line here does not extend all the way to the end of the door. So that has to be smoothed out, much like I did here. And it extends just a little past the door handle, and then it blends into the door. So that's what I did here, and also smoothed out a little bit of that leading edge. So that's what I'm going to have to do here, is smooth this out. As you can see, it's very rough along that leading edge of that body crease. So that's going to have to be smoothed out and shortened a little bit. Going to have to clean up all the creases here on the body moldings. You can see a little more filler work I had to do here. Probably going to have to do a little more. There's a bunch of sink marks in the hood. This is a screw bottom kit and everything is attached. And all the bosses for the attachment points are causing the sink marks in the body. Well, in the front end anyway, because the rear end seems to be okay. So there's going to be quite a bit of work needed here and here. You can see the windshield wipers are molded to the chassis. But all in all, it's not a bad representation of the 300 SL body. It's really not that bad at all. Now let's take a look at the chassis. Here in the chassis we get really simplified. This is where the paint work is going to make a difference here. Let's see, we have approved and authorized by Mercedes-Benz Stuttgart, West Germany. I think I'm going to leave that on there. That is actually, I think for me, you know, you guys know I'm a Mercedes-Benz technician. I just think that's just kind of cool. So I'm going to leave that there. We're going to have to clean up the underside of the body here. We have some injection pin marks. Here we have quite a few of them here. Going all the way to the back. Really rudimentary detail on here of the chassis. The tube frame chassis. If you guys have seen the Tamiya 300 SL Gullwing kit, which is basically the same car but a coupe version with gullwing doors, it comes with a full frame that has to be built up. I'm really looking forward to doing that one on the channel at some point. But since this one has no engine and really nothing else to speak of on the chassis, that's going to be, like I said, a painting exercise. Here's the boot for the convertible top. Everything just kind of pops into place here and here. And of course, you know, it's a convertible. I'm building it with the top down, even though it does come with a removable hardtop, which is kind of cool. Now let's take a look at the interior. You see the seats are molded into the interior tub. It's like I said, really very rudimentary. There's not much really to speak of here. And if we look at the dashboard, again, not horrible. I have seen worse. So it's, again, another big exercise in painting and detailing. Is going to be what makes this interior. Here's our steering wheel. Not bad either. The horn ring is there. It's nicely detailed. The Mercedes emblem is right there on the horn button. Very nice. I'm not really sure what this part is. Seems to be engraved almost with like a wood pattern. Don't really know what that is. I guess we'll find out during the build. Let's take a look at our chrome. Here you can see there is a large Mercedes-Benz emblem, which is a trophy of some kind. I'm not really sure what that is for. Yeah, not really sure what that's for, but it's kind of neat. Yes, maybe it's for displaying alongside the model. Or maybe it goes attached to this somehow. I have no idea. We'll figure it out. And we'll take a look at our chrome pieces. Not bad, not bad. We have our wheels. We have two sets of wheels. We have spoked wire wheels. With these hubcaps. I'm not really sure. I guess we have three sets of wheels. That's interesting. I have to see. I'm probably going to use these with the Mercedes emblem. We have some optional parts here, which is the side pipes. So I guess this says you can build this in more than one version. There go our bumpers. It's all going to have to be cleaned up and probably re-chromed. And there go our headlights, our grille. So like I said, not a lot really to this kit. So the fun is going to be in the detailing and the painting. It's one of the reasons I like these vintage kits, because it just gives you, you never really know what you're going to find, and it gives you a chance to exercise different facets of the hobby, of the building hobby, where sometimes you build a lot and sometimes you paint a lot. So this is going to be fun. So guys, join me on this trip, because I think it's going to be an interesting build. Simple but interesting. Or maybe I'll just overcomplicate it the way I usually do. Either way, it's going to be fun. So let's take a look at ScaleMates and see what we can find about this kit on there. Okay guys, here we are on ScaleMates, and lo and behold, look at what we found. The exact model kit we're looking for. This is the N1959 300SL. We already know that. Static model kit. Mercedes-Benz 300SL W198. This is kit number 9113. And let's take a look at the history of this, which goes, wow. It was a new tool. Oh, this is a Hubli kit. It was a new tool in 1960. And then re-released again with new parts, new parts, new parts, new parts. Not much information there. Now, it was sold as a kit, and it also looks like it was sold as a... Let's take a look here. This isn't... Oh, look at this. It was also sold as a friction motor powered car. So it was sold as a kit and as a toy car. Now, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Okay. Let's head back to where we were. So I guess as a toy, it was sold up until... here we go. Still in 1960s. 1960X, which means sometime during the 1960s, it received a new box. And it was sold as a hardtop with racing parts. Okay, that's interesting. Let's head back. And here, then it was sold as a bagged kit. But the interesting part here is that, look at this, it's sold as a coupe. This was not made as a convertible here. Unless it's just the hardtop convertible was attached to the body. But that's very interesting. It was sold as a coupe. As a bagged kit. Alright, let's keep going down the timeline. And here it was sold again. Still under the Hubli name, Hubli. And here it is as a convertible. Without the hardtop. So I guess it went back and forth with and without. And now we start hitting a little more 20 years later, 1981. It is now sold as a Revell. And it is 1/24 scale. But this also is starting to look more like the kit that we have. Folding box. And then it's sold as a Revell. And then up until 1988, where it's still sold as a Revell. Then we get to where we are at some point. Let's take a look here. Let's get to our box. Here is our box here. So this is our kit, 9113. And that would be sometime after 1988. So between 1988 and 1990, it was put in as a new box, sold by Entex, previously by Revell, for an original Hubli kit. And then in the 1990s, it was reboxed again as a Master Kit. Don't know who Master Kit are? But that was the last time that this car was sold. So our kit is a late 1980s vintage model kit that dates all the way back to the 1960s. That's an interesting little bit of history on this car. Really does stretch all the way back there. Stretches all the way back, has been sold by 4 different model companies. Ours being the second to last release in the late 1980s. So that gives us a little history on the kit. So it'll be interesting going through this and reliving model kits of the past. So coincidentally, it's actually same vintage as the Fiero model kit that I'm working on, except that the Fiero was a new tool for 1985, and this is an original tooling from 1960, which means that we're actually working on a model from the 60s. So yeah, it really is a vintage kit. So let's have to step back into the 60s, guys, and we're gonna start working on this and alternating between this and the Fiero. Okay, guys, that's gonna be it for this first episode of the Entex Mercedes 300 SL. I'll see you on the next one.